Vanakkam. Hello friends. In the previous episode, we saw about Adiyaman Neduman Anchi, one of the most famous among the early Sangam chieftains and one among the Kadayelu Vallalgal, the last 7 great patrons. Now, neighboring Adiyaman and Nannan's territory lay the region of Yerumayor, that is today known as Kudagu country. In the Silappadiharam, Ilango Adigal mentions the people who lived in these regions as the Kudagu Kongar, Kongar being a native tribal clan. The chieftain who ruled over these territories was known as Yerumai or Yerumai Ooran, and it is very interesting to see how in the Aham poems, where the setting always revolves around lovers, that these chieftains and their countries are used as casual passing references as similes. In the Agananuru poem 115, Mamulanar renders such a simile wherein he compares the beauty of the heroine to Yerumai Ooran's Kudagu country. Aliya Vilavin Anjuvarum Moodur starts the poem. In this fierce ancient town with endless festivities, பழியிலராயினும் பலர் புறங்கூறும் அம்பல் ஒழுக்கமும் ஆகிய வெஞ்சொல் சேரியம் பெண்டிர் எள்ளினும் எள்ளுக. Let them laugh if they want to, the people of this town, who talk behind our backs even though there is no fault. Let the women make fun of me, I do not care. The heroine is distressed that her clandestine relationship with the hero has become the talk of the town. நுண்பூன் எருமை குடநாட்டன்ன என் ஆய் நலம் தொலையினும் தொலைக என்றும் நோயிலராக நம் காதலர். Let it be lost, my beauty, that is as lovely like that of Kudanadu, belonging to the finely decked Yerumai. But let my lover not be hurt. So the heroine comparing her youthful beauty to the elegance of Yerumai's Kudanadu. Again, a trend peculiar to Sangam poems, comparing two seemingly incomparable things, a woman's beauty to a town or even a city street. Very hard to imagine these days. The Yerumai, the humble water buffalo, was the sacred animal of the Tamil people associated with the mother goddess. Its importance in Dravidian culture has its antecedents in the Indus Valley civilization. It is depicted on Indus seals, seals that were wrongly interpreted to denote the bullfight known as the Jallikattu, were indeed seals depicting the buffalo as a beast of war associated with the war goddess Kottravai. While in Tamil country, its continuity is found in the ritual worship of the hill tribes such as the Thodas and the Padugas in Ooty, it continues in other states such as amidst the Gond tribe in Odisha, where the water buffalo is still a symbol of worship. That a Sangam chieftain and his territory were named after the buffalo is proof enough of its sanctity. With the advent of Vedic priesthood and belief systems, many an identity of Tamil culture were lost over time. The mother goddess, a fierce and independent deity who went by the names Kottravai or Kadukelu Selvi, was rechristened as Ma Durga, and eventually the sacred cow replaced the humble buffalo as a divine animal. And in the depiction of the Pattiswaram Durgai, the buffalo takes on a different connotation. The buffalo is made into an asura. Buffalo in Sanskrit is Mahisha, so Mahishasuran, and Durga herself is shown as a slayer of this demon buffalo, Mahishasuramardini. One should understand the subtext of these narratives, the slaying of an ancient Dravidian culture by incoming Aryan ideals. So the Mahisham is then taken into Kannada and Telugu, and the region of Yerumai Nadu becomes Mahisha Mandala, from which is derived the name of the modern day Mysore. In the Agananuru poem 36 rendered by Nakirar, he records the victory of Talayalanganam of Pandyan Nedunjeliyan and enlists the 7 rulers who were defeated by Nedunjeliyan. One of them was Yerumai Ooran. Narari Naravin Yerumai Ooran goes the words, Yerumai Ooran who offered fine filtered toddy. The generosity of a chieftain celebrated even while recording his death. These chieftains seem to have held their own, as we see in this poem rendered by Perindalai Satanar on a chieftain Kadiyaneduvettuvan, ruling from Palani hills that formed the southern end of the Kongu country. One group of hills that lay to the south of the Palani hill range went by the name Kodai Malai. Kadayam was a town in this range, and this was the capital city of Kadiyaneduvettuvan. Neduvettuvan, whose name literally meant the ancient, famed hunter. His Kodaimalai of the Sangam times is what is known today as Kodaikanal. And the poet Perindalai Satanar sings, Muttiya Thiruvin Moovarayinum Petpa Indri Eedal Yam Vendalame. Even from the three great kings with immense wealth, we do not want anything if it is offered without love. Enemies with swift horses, their victory rage subsided, come to you for refuge, O Lord of the Kodai mountain, surrounded by the mullai flowers. Archery yanar tariya kaal வீழ்த்து கடல்வயின் குழிய அன்னலங் கொண்மு Neerindri Peyarangum goes the poem, like the noble clouds that plunge into the ocean waters and will not leave without taking water in order to give us heavy rains, so the families of bards that come to you do not leave without getting gifts of chariots and elephants. So here the poet takes a dig at the great three, putting the small chieftain way above them. While these chieftains garnered great respect for their generosity, they could not stand their own ground against the military might of the Moovendar. And so, over due course of time, they had to align themselves with either one of the great three emperors for survival. Towards the end of the Sangam era, internecine warfare was on a continuous rise, more out of a need to control than to protect. This brought to an end the rule of many a chieftain. They were defeated and killed in war, and their countries were annexed to the kingdoms of the great three. A famed chieftain who belonged to the Maravar clan as that of Adiyaman Neduman Anchi was Ori. He ruled from the Kolli hills that are in the present-day Namakkal district of Tamil Nadu. He too finds a place in the list of the Kadayelu Vallalgal, and the Sangam poet Kalaidin Yanayar has rendered an excellent poem in praise of Ori. The Purananuru poem 204 goes, Iyena irathal ilindandru Adanedir Iyen Endral Adaninum ilindandru. It is a dishonor to say, give me something. It is an even greater dishonor to reply, I will give nothing. Kollena koduttal uyarndandru Adanedir kollen endral Adaninum uyarndandru. It is superior to say, take this. But it is even more superior to say, I do not want it. People with thirst will never go to an ocean to drink water. But if there were a small water body with potable water, even if it were dirty, roiled by the cows and the horses, there will be many paths leading to it. May you live long, Ori. You are a generous ruler who gives gifts without any limits, like the clouds with thunder and lightning in the sky. The poet subtly points out how these chieftains, even though were less wealthy compared to the Moovendar, were more generous and caring in giving. Noted for his skill with the bow and arrow that earned him the epithet Valvil Ori, both the Cheras and the Cholas seem to have vied with one another to get him on their side. The poet Vanparanar has rendered a Purananuru poem in praise of Valvil Ori's archery skills, and the verses begin, Velam Veeltha Viluthodai Pahali Pelvai Uluvaye Perumpiridu Uriyi. As I travelled along the forest path, I saw an arrow shot with great strength that felled an elephant and then killed a tiger by entering through its open mouth. It then dropped a spotted stag, felled a wild boar, and finally got embedded in a monitor lizard that was in a deep hole nearby. Indeed, the one who shoots must have had great strength. Who is this archer who kills with such skill? Kolaivan matru ivan, Vilaivan Polan Verukkai Nangudayan. He does not look like a murderer with a pearl strand on his chest. He looks like a man with great wealth. ஆரம் தாழ்ந்த அம்பகட்டு மார்பின் சாரல் அருவி பயமலை கிழவன் ஓரி கொல்லோ அல்லன் கொல்லோ. Was it Ori, lord of the richly yielding mountains with waterfalls on its slopes, or was it somebody else? கோவென பெரிய காலை ஆங்கு அது தன் பெயர் ஆகலின் நாணி. We addressed him as king, which put him to great embarrassment. We told him sweetly that we have gone to many countries, but never have come across such a great huntsman. He gave us jewels mixed with heaps of sapphire from his mountains. In yet another Puram poem, Vanparanar sings, Adupor Ana Adan Ori, மாரி வன்கொடை காணிய நன்றும் சென்றது மண் எம் கண்ணுளம் கடும்பே. ஆதன் ஓரி, who never ceases to wage murderous battles. My family of dancers happily went to see him to avail of his great rain-like generosity. He gave them golden water lilies that were studded with precious sapphires and strung on silver cords, together with herds of elephants and other wealth. விசிப்பினி கூடுகொள் இன்னியம் கரங்க ஆடலும் ஒல்லார் தம் பாடலும் மறந்தே. Is it because they are not starving anymore and are rolling in wealth that they don't dance even when sweet music is played? Have they forgotten their arts? He asks. Thus Ori ruled from the Kolli hills, which was abundant in wealth. In both his poems, Vanparanar specifically mentions the heaps of sapphire that were extracted from these hills. Scholars opine that Vanparanar was different from the famed poet Paranar, whose poems we have seen in previous episodes. And incidentally, Paranar too has rendered a poem on Valvil Ori in the Natrinai. Again, an aham setting. While describing the beauty of a heroine, the hero goes, Mari vanmahil ori kolli kalimail kalavattu anna ival oli men kundal nam vayinane. The beautiful tresses of the heroine are compared to the full plume of the dancing peacocks that prance about in Ori's abundant hills. In another beautiful Nattinai poem, again in an Agam setting, the poet Palathanar sings, Valiyan nenge vempor malavar perumagan maaval ori kai valam iyevadu ayinum aida yehu amma இயைந்து செய் பொருளே. The poem begins by praising the great Malavar clan, the warrior clan that Ori belonged to, and of course of Ori's generosity. The hero's heart tells the hero, who wants to go away in search of wealth, that even if we were to earn the abundant wealth of Ori, it will be far less valuable and not worth leaving the heroine behind. Ori's wealthy Kollimalai was coveted by neighboring chieftains and kings alike, and one of them was the contemporary Chera king. He seemed to have instigated a neighboring chieftain, Malayaman Tirumudikari, into developing enmity with Ori. Now, Kari too was a generous patron and one of the Kadayelu Vallalgal, and was eulogized by Kapilar in 4 Purananuru poems. Nevertheless, he aligned himself with the Cheras. The Chera king promised to support Kari if he took on Ori in battle, and in return he wanted Ori's Kollimalai for himself. So, instigated by his overlord, Kari went to war with Ori and killed him in battle, and as promised, delivered the Kolli hills to the Chera king. This incident is recorded in an Ahananuru poem by the poet Kalladanar, and the verses go, Mullur Mannan Kadal Todikari Sella Nallisai Nirutha Valvil Ori Kondru Seralarku Eetha Sevver Palavin. The ruler of Mullur, Kari, wearing the warrior's anklets, owning bloody spears, gifted to the Chera king after killing Ori of unfading fame and strong bow, the Kolli mountain with its abundant jackfruit trees. Kalladanar continues, Bayankelu Kolli Nileiperu Kadavulakiya Palarpugal Pave Annanin Nalane. Your nature and beauty resemble that of the Kolli Pave, the goddess Kolli, who resides in those mountains that belong to Ori. In ancient times, it was believed that an evil female spirit known as the Kolli Pavai resided in those mountains, and it was because of the Kolli Pavai that the region received the name Kolli Malai. Pavai denoted a figure either chiseled on the rock or painted over it, and there are several poems like this Ahananuru poem in Kurundogai and Nattinai that make reference to the Kolli Pavai of the Kolli Hills. In Nattinai poem 185, whose author is unknown, the hero confides in the confidant as to his intense suffering at not being able to see the heroine, an affliction so intense that it could almost kill him. How? பொறையன் உரைசால் உயர்வரை கொல்லிக் குடவையின் தெய்வம் எழுதிய வினைமான் பாவையன்னோள் கொலை சூழ்ந்தனளாள் நோகோ யானே. She has planned to kill me, the woman who looks like the esteemed goddess painted on the west side of Porayan's famous Kolli Hills. She plans to kill me by simply hiding from me. Oh, how my heart hurts. Kapilar has rendered a poem in Nattinai that records the victory of Kari over Ori. Nattinai 320 begins, விழவும் உழந்தன்று முழவும் தூங்கின்று எவன் குறித்தனள் கொல் என்றி ஆயின் ஆய்தொடி எழில்மா மேனி மகளிர் விழுமாந்தனர் தம் கொழுனரை காத்தே. What the harlot said about the new harlot who had come into town and was trying to steal her lover. The festivities have ended, and just as the streets started to quieten down, there she entered with her hips swaying, causing an uproar amidst the town's women who ran to protect their husbands by locking them inside their houses. பழவிரல் ஓரி கொன்ற ஓர் பெருந்தெருவில் காரி புக்கதோர் புலம் போல கல்லென்றன்றால் ஊரே அதற்கொண்டு. The uproar of the townswomen resembled the uproar caused in Ori's hill town when his enemy Kari entered it after slaying him. The uproar created by his people in grief and anguish. So what happened to Kari after he won the war? His fate was not much different either, as we will see in the next episode. Vanakkam.